up, guys? I'm excited to have you here today. This is going to be New Comic Book Day for June the 23rd of 2021. And there's quite a few different books on here. It's fairly DC heavy. We'll see how things shake out. But before I ramble too long, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, connect, follow, do whatever you do on the platform you're on. Just look for my furry face inside of an orange circle and click all the buttons next to it. First up on the list this week is Action Comics 1032. I've really been enjoying this series. In the last issue, we saw the super family save some refugees from these ships that were trying to escape from Warworld. And so they pulled these refugees out, and they seem to be like ancient Kryptonians, or people that at least have been educated in the way of like ancient Krypton. They seem to have some beef with Superman here. But it introduced a lot of like political intrigue and Warworld intrigue and like kind of the back history of like what's going on with ancient Krypton. So I think it's going to be fun and interesting to dig into that stuff. And then you also kind of have like some drama and some splintering of the super family themselves, as Jonathan, like he doesn't want to trust them that much because of his young inexperience. And he feels like an outsider because Clark and Kara, they both speak this ancient Kryptonian language, so they can communicate and understand the documents they're reading and stuff. And so it's kind of like separated Jonathan out a little bit, and then he's a little bit angsty because he's younger and doesn't quite understand, and he's not like that trusting to these people that he's never met, and he feels like Clark and Kara are kind of like leaning right into whatever their plan is. And so it created some interesting drama, some interesting perspectives, and it's going to be exciting to see what happens in Action Comics 1032 here. Batman Superman number 19. Excited for this series. I do think I'm still technically an issue behind, so I'll need to get caught up. But I've really enjoyed both the meta plot with Artur I.O., as well as like the stuff that happens within the stories. It's all like fun, and it gets to kind of play with like Batman, Superman history and all that kind of stuff. So I've been enjoying it. I've only been reading it since 16, so I know it had taken a dip for a while there. But 16, 17, 18, and hopefully now number 19 have all been great. So I'm excited for that series. And Bitterroot number 14, another series that I think I'm technically an issue behind. I still haven't got around to reading number 13. But I really enjoyed, 11 was okay. It was a lot of just like recap, like it basically explained what's happened in the series so far. But then number 12 came back really cool, really interesting. And I'm excited to see how that plays out into number 13. And I hear there's some great stuff at the end of 13 that sets up an exciting number 14. So I'll be getting caught up on that this week because I definitely don't want to stay too far behind on one of my favorite series on the shelf, Bitterroot. Detective Comics number 1038. Honestly, I don't know how much longer I'm going to stick around. I enjoyed this book, so I'll probably continue to read it because I enjoyed the book and it's great, but like it's coming out every 2 weeks, I think. And between like all the extra that goes involved with that, like this is definitely going to be a better collected read in my opinion, because at this point you have a main story and then like 2 backup stories, and they got all these like intertwining plot lines in them, so you kind of need to read all this different stuff, but it's coming out every 2 weeks and it's just a lot. I feel like I'm getting bombarded by Detective Comics. Like all of my senses are just like, I think the story is really great, especially the A story. You're getting a lot of like Bruce Wayne stuff. They've taken the focus off of like his actual dollar value at this point, and they've turned it more like into what is the currency of his name in high society. And so I think that's interesting because it is kind of a point. I don't want to get like all political and stuff, but it kind of ties into the real world where we're seeing the actual dollar value of wealth become so high that it's almost incomprehensible for regular people. And so like to somebody like me, the way that I understand how rich somebody is truly is like what circles do they hang out in. So like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and all of these celebrities that kind of like try to get into those big circles like that, Warren Buffett, so it's one of those things like that makes a little more sense to me than dollars, because the dollar value fluctuates a lot. Once you get to a certain point, it no longer matters what that number is. And so this still kind of like gives me some kind of understanding. of the world that Bruce Wayne and Batman is operating in right now. And I like Mr. Worth. I think he's a great throwback to like a Rockefeller, like steel baron kind of guy, you know, or at least what we imagine them as. And so I think that's great. They're going to have to like be a little careful with that to make sure it doesn't just turn into like some sort of caricature of what it's trying to say. But I think this old money versus old money story is really good. I'm just a little concerned with this every 2 weeks, whereas like we can probably get the trade, get a whole bunch of issues, and you know, skip over a lot of the filler bits in there with those backup stories. Giga number 4 is going to be out this week. I don't know if I'm going to bother picking this one up. I might be an issue behind on this, but what I can tell you is this is the 4th issue that's come out in like 9 months or something. And so it's really just a series that I think it's really cool, but it's probably going to be a collected read at this point, because I really just can't be bothered to keep up with the series that's dropping one comic book every 3 months, you know. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna pick this up, but the story was great. I really enjoyed the first book, or actually the first 2 books. I don't think I've read the third one. If I did, it didn't stick with me, obviously. But I can tell you I've also read the first and second books a couple of times, because I would read them every couple of months when the next one would come out. So again, I would say this is a collected read, but if you're enjoying Giga, number 4 is out. Good Luck number 1 is a, I think this was an Image book, and it looked interesting. I thought the premise was pretty cool. It's basically about I think a group of teenagers that like actually don't have good luck, which is like a special characteristic, I guess. Like people just have good luck or something, and like these people don't. So it's going to be kind of like about like an outside, like in-group, out-group sort of dynamic. Sounds pretty interesting. I'm going to check it out. It's a number 1. I'm pretty sure it's from Image or Boom Studios. So we'll see what that book holds. Infinite Frontier number 1 from DC. This is another book that like I'm excited to check out, but number 0 came out so long ago that I'm just going to want to check this one out for free and see what it looks like. Probably DC Infinite. I thought like the premise of the first one was cool, but it was so long ago that like I don't really know what's going on with the Infinite Frontier story. And honestly, I don't think it matters that much as far as like understanding within the context of like other titles. But I remember number 0 was cool, so I'll probably check out this first one and see what's going on in the universe. Justice League number 63. This is another title that's coming out too much. Like, it needs to slow down. I'm not interested in that much Justice League. I'm really enjoying the Justice League Dark stuff, so of course I'm enjoying grabbing the book and reading that part. But as far as the Justice League stuff, it feels like we're getting less and less out of more and more, if that makes any sense. I don't know, like Bendis' storytelling is really like going nowhere, in my opinion, for the amount of issues we're getting now. When it was like once a month, it didn't feel that bad. It was like we were getting little snapshots into things, but at this point, like Justice League drops like every week, it feels like, and I can't think of very much that's really happened. So I don't know how interested I am in Justice League, but Justice League Dark is doing some awesome stuff with building like this monolithic character out of Merlin and bringing him into the world. He's about to resurrect the lost city of Atlantis. So I'm excited to see what happens in Justice League Dark. I just wish Justice League wasn't attached to it at this point. Mfkz. This is like a little animation. Shouldn't say little, but it's like a 90-minute movie on Netflix that you can watch. It's really cool. It's from the animation studio that did The Animatrix and Batman Gotham Knight, which are like 2 of my favorite animated properties I've ever seen. I just love the way they kind of experiment with different styles and what those styles look like. There's some really cool stuff going on in there. And I really enjoyed those, so I checked out Mfkz a few months ago whenever I heard about that. And this movie is sick. It's weird. It's like in this crazy weird world, and there's a lot of stuff that happens, but visually it's very stunning, very beautiful. And the action scenes are just like incredibly well done for animation. So I really enjoyed that. I'm going to check out the comic, and honestly, this might just be like cover buys. We'll see how the story goes and stuff. I just don't think the world or the characters make enough sense to be that interesting, but it's fun to watch them in action. So this might just be a #1 cover buy, but at the same time, it does look cool, so I hope we get something neat out of it. Power Rangers #8 will be out. This Power Rangers I'm enjoying more than Mighty Morphin at this point, but it also feels like a lot of nothing sometimes. Like this issue, like I'm not expecting much. We saw them go down to the other planet. They kind of like acted impolite and like kind of against the social grains of this planet they stopped on. That got them in trouble. They got arrested by the king. It feels a lot like Star Trek or the Orville or something of that nature, you know. It feels like they're trying to get more in that direction, and I like that idea, but they also have to be consistent in that delivery, and instead they're kind of like changing things up a little bit with every issue. And so while I'm enjoying it, it feels like we're not really going anywhere because they're not really following any specific structure. And so I wish we could get to the point of that series and kind of decide what it's going to be. Robin #3. I'm excited for this 3rd issue. The second one was really cool. I thought the first one was a blast. Joshua Williamson is a great writer. He does like great like classic comic book style writing. So I've really been enjoying this series. It's a lot of fun. It's got plenty of twists and turns, and they're not like completely out of the blue or weird. Obviously, if you're on an island that's named after the Lazarus Pit, then there's probably Lazarus Pits, and there's probably infinite or immortality in a sense, you know. So, of course, things played out the way that we assumed they would at the end of #1. But it's fun to see all the other little twists and turns that come along with that. SHADOWMAN #3 will be out. This is a Valiant title. This is being written by Cullen Bunn. So if you're already enjoying like Basilisk over on Boom Studios, or several of his other titles out there, he's got a lot going on with Aftershock. So if you're enjoying Cullen Bunn, like he always delivers really solid books. SHADOWMAN is another one of those. It's been fun. It's been a great ride. Plenty of lore and mythos built in there. Lots of great dialogue, and I just love the way that Cullen Bunn can really build a world that feels like a place that exists. Like you always have this weird feeling when you go there, and kind of almost like Twilight Zone-y in a way. So I'm really enjoying SHADOWMAN. I'm excited for #3 here. But I think one of the biggest books on the list this week is Something is Killing the Children, #17. #16 saw massive sales. It was a hit. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it took and expanded the lore in a lot of interesting ways, or at least teased a lot of expansion. We got to kind of get reintroduced to young Erica, and we kind of got a little more of that, like her mindset at the time and how things went down, and like what her perspective was as a kid walking into this world. And then we saw some of the rules and the dynamics get laid out. So I'm excited for #17 to see how they expand on that and where it goes from there. Superman #32 will be out, and this is kind of split away from Action Comics. So we had both of them. They were kind of boom, 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 boom. And now they're kind of like taking these divergent narratives. And so in Superman, it's been cool. It's just kind of like showing us Jonathan get set up, and I mean, right now this last issue felt a little fillery based on like all the like really cool things we saw in Action Comics. So like Action Comics just totally took off, meanwhile Superman just kind of like stalled out, and that feels like it's just kind of like building itself out until I think this is the last one of this run, and then it'll be rebranded as Son of Kal-El Superman. And at that point, Tom Taylor will take over the writing. And so it kind of like a soft reboot thing. It feels like Superman's just kind of like petering itself out until we get that Tom Taylor takeover, and then he'll probably run off with that character the way he's done with Nightwing. And then Teen Titans Academy #4. If Red X is done with this series, I probably am too. It's been okay. It's not terrible. It's just it doesn't really seem to know what it wants to do other than like drop in all these new characters, and that's cool. But it's kind of the same problem I'm having with Tynion's Batman. You know, like you keep dropping new characters, but you're not developing them or keeping them around. So you're really taking away from the narrative and the page, you're taking away from pages that you have to dedicate to telling your story. You're cutting those out for things you're going to throw away later. So it just feels like a waste. I don't know that Teen Titans Academy is doing a lot for me. I'm getting Nightwing out of Nightwing with Tom Taylor, which is absolutely crushing it. Most of the other characters I would like to see more of, but I just don't know that Teen Titans Academy knows what it wants to do with itself. So we'll see how much longer I stick around on that. But I'll probably check out number 4 this week and see how that goes. So that's the list for this week. It was pretty long, but not exhaustive. And there's quite a few books on here that I'm excited for. So, I mean, Action Comics 1032 is definitely in the top 3. Let's see. Something is Killing the Children. And Bitter Root. So that'll be my top 3 there. Let me know what you guys are excited for. What is making your top list this week? And what books are you going to read as soon as you get home with that stack? Until next time, keep flipping pages.
You